We will briefly understand how the system works, कैसा काम करता है ये पूरा पीडीएस. पीडीएस is not just the distribution. PDS of course is public distribution system, but that only talks about the distribution part of it, but it has a complete cycle. It has a lot of background work that needs to be done. So there is a PDS shop, for example. तो ये PDS शॉप है, यहाँ से आप लोगों को फूड ग्रेन्स देते हैं, है ना. फूड ग्रेन्स दे रहे हैं आप. टू whom? टू हाउसहोल्ड्स. ओके, हाउसहोल्ड. जनरली जो बेनिफिशियरी ओरिएंटेड स्कीम्स है ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, they do not use the word family, they use the word household. Okay, so in most of the cases family and household is the same thing, but it could be different for in some places also, right? So household, तो household को ये distribute कर रहा है. Now this is a PDS shop, for example, and there are how many, maybe lakhs of PDS shops in India, which means that these PDF shops, the food grains have to come from somewhere. So where do they come? The grains come from the warehouses, whatever you call it, warehouse, storage, godowns, whatever. Now these warehouses are generally owned by government, mostly by Food Corporation of India, but also by private. There are private godowns also, right? So from there food is supplied. Where do food grains come into these godowns from? So there is a procurement system. And this procurement is done by state governments. Okay, so it's a complex system. State government does the procurement. In some places FCI also does procurement directly, but that's a very small portion of it, or FCI sometimes. There are some food grains which are procured directly by FCI from the farmers, but for most of them, the major जो हमारे grains है, coarse grains such as wheat or rice, जो main component है उसका, that is procured by the state government agencies, right? And of course, where do they procure it from? Farmers. Right? Now this is the cycle. So many agencies are involved in this entire operation. The state government is involved here. Additionally, these are also operated by state government, right? Central government is involved here. So the state governments are procuring food grains from farmers on behalf of the FCI. Okay, and actually FCI is making payments to the farmers. Okay, तो वो गवर्नमेंट, ये जो पैसा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट नहीं लगाती है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट लगाती है, बट एजेंसी है इन्वॉल्व. Okay, so and what general food grains which are given in almost all are majorly rice, wheat, right? Some cereals can be also given, right? Salt, sugar, in some places oil also, but it depends. Earlier kerosene was an important component, right? But the major focus as far as the food security is concerned is on these three main two major food grains. Whether they would supply rice, whether they would supply cereals or what, depends on the geography, the people's food habits, लोग वहाँ क्या खाना का पसंद करते हैं, कहीं कहीं पर केवल वीट ही मिलता है, वीट ही देते हैं क्योंकि वहाँ लोग राइस नहीं पसंद, कहीं कहीं पर केवल राइस ही देते हैं, कहीं कहीं पर कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ बोथ wheat plus rice. So let us, so this is that PDS system, right? So about 6 million tons of metric tons of food grains are distributed to about almost 80 crore people. 80 करोड़ लोगों को लगभग ये लाभ मिलता है, which makes it the largest food security scheme in the world. तो जनरल पीडीएस के नॉर्म्स क्या कहते हैं? 5 kg ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स पर पर्सन पर मंथ, राइट? सो इट्स बेसिकली 5 kg per person per month. This is the norm. And coarse grains जो होते हैं, जैसे कोर्स ग्रेन्स का मतलब हुआ जैसे बाजरा हो गया, या फिर कुछ ज्वार भी देते हैं कुछ एरिया में, अलग अलग एरिया में, जो मेजर हम बता रहे हैं. So that is given at 1 kg per 1 rupee per kg. So what is happening is the food grains are basically heavily subsidized. So heavily subsidized. 1 रुपया किलो में you are getting coarse grains, you know, per kg for coarse grains. And for 2 rupees per kg you getting wheat, you know, and then 3 rupees per kg of rice. You know, these are the rates, current rates in PDS. Now
So
there are schemes within. Yes.
So this 5 kg of food grain per person per month. So this is not like every person in the family, like the child, the husband,
Yes.
the wife.
Yes, including child.
Okay, I thought it's per family. Okay.
No, per person per month. Even
Okay.
even a child of 5 years is included as a person. Okay. Now this is the standard targeted PDS system, but within that the government, for the purpose of targeting, to specifically target it, to specifically ensure that the poorest of the poor and the most deserving among all those who are getting, 80 crore hai na wo. So 80 crore is a huge number, but among those 80 crore there would be many who are more deserving, who actually need more. So for them, government has specific schemes which are catering to the specific communities in specific regions, क्षेत्रों में है. जैसे प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना है, राइट? अब ये इसका नाम भी प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना इसलिए रखा गया था ताकि ऐसे कुछ एरियाज में जो बहुत ज्यादा गरीब है उनके लिए हम फूड ग्रेन्स दे पाए, नो. देन देयर इज अंत्योदय अन्न योजना. So what is Antyodaya Anna Yojana?
I think it is to elderly poor people.
No, Antyodaya, see, because this is for all, but Antyodaya Anna Yojana, no, is for poorest among the poor. Okay, so to whom is it given? If you have a BPL survey, now BPL is below poverty line survey. Now we talked about multidimensional poverty and all that, but that has not really translated on the ground yet. You don't have a multidimensional poor family. You have a BPL family, and that BPL, the BPL families which are identified as below poverty line have been actually identified long back through a process of BPL survey. In most of the states, this BPL survey was done in 2011-12. मतलब ये 12-13 साल पहले का एक्सरसाइज है. उसके बाद का कुछ एक्सरसाइज कुछ स्टेट ने किया है खुद का, but most of the states are still using that list of 11-12. So this BPL survey, what did it include? It included many things. Multidimensional poverty में जो aspects है वही covered है लगभग. वो जो उसमें से कुछ चीजें नहीं है, उसमें बैंक अकाउंट शामिल नहीं है जो नया एडिशन है. उसमें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी शायद शामिल नहीं है, बट अदर एजुकेशन, और उसमें कच्चा मकान है, पक्का मकान है, 1 कमरे का मकान है, 2 कमरे का है, 3 कमरे का है, छत कैसी है, पक्की छत है, कच्ची छत है, कितने पढ़े लिखे हैं, 10वीं से कम कितने हैं, अशिक्षित कितने हैं, 10वीं से ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे कितने हैं, एम्प्लॉयड है या नहीं, ये सभी पैरामीटर्स होते हैं और फिर एक काउंट मिलता है। और वो काउंट एक नंबरिंग होती है उसके आधार पे, पैरामीटर्स के नंबर पे। एंड इफ समवन स्कोर्स बिलो अ सर्टेन स्कोर, से 14, बिलो 14 यदि स्कोर है, बिलो 14 यदि स्कोर है, तो क्या होगा, फिर उसको हम कहेंगे कि ये फैमिली बीपीएल फैमिली है, और फिर दैट बीपीएल फैमिली बिकम्स एलिजिबल फॉर मेनी थिंग्स। आउट ऑफ 50 पॉइंट्स का है वो, 14 से बिलो आया तो गरीब हो गया। बट देयर वुड बी सम ऑफ देम हु वुड स्टिल बी बिलो सर्टेन मार्क, तो वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड करती है कि हो सकता है कि कोई 8 से भी कम वाले हैं, तो जो इनका 8 से भी कम है वो तो बहुत ही गरीब हो गए, एंड देन दे आर कॉल्ड अंत्योदय। अंत्योदय मीन्स, अंत्यो मीन्स बेसिकली those who are behind, at the end of the queue, antyodaya. So these are the ones who are poorest among the poor, and then they deserve perhaps a little more than the rest of them, right? So unke liye antyodaya anna yojana mein 35 kg of food grains is given to a family. So this is per family per month, okay, and this is given free, okay. Now there is, of course, this is now also called PM Poshan. So you understand this? PM Poshan एक और इसका इसी में से है, इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ PDS, PM Poshan. Now PM Poshan is for students, schools. So schools में जो MDM वगैरह होता है वहां पर PDS से फ्री में फूड ग्रेन्स दिए जाते हैं, okay? And that's called PM Poshan. I don't know why one would call that a scheme, but that's a scheme, PM Poshan. क्योंकि वो तो मैंडेट है, आपको PDS, आपको मिड डे मील देना है, तो मिड डे मील में आप चाहे यहाँ से दो या कहीं और से खरीद के दो, आपको तो देना ही है। सो बट दिस इज हाउ इट इज। अर्लियर विद इन दैट 3 रुपी 4 रुपी दैट वी टॉक्ड अबाउट, उसी में से गेहूं और चावल भी खरीदना पड़ता था मार्केट में से, तो जो फूड की क्वालिटी है मिड डे मील में और खराब हो जाती थी। मतलब 4 रुपए में अभी शायद 6 रुपए हो गया, वो 4 और 6 रुपए में आपको क्या करना है, बच्चों को खाना खिलाना है रोज, उसी में से आपको चावल गेहूं खरीदना है, तो चावल और गेहूं खरीदने का कंपोनेंट बहुत बड़ा हो जाता था, तो अभी इसमें से वो मिलता है, तो वो उतना पैसा बच जाता है ताकि सब्जी के लिए, दाल के लिए, तेल के लिए, नमक मिर्च के लिए खरीद लगा सकते। कुकिंग कॉस्ट है उसकी, जो कुक जो है, जो रसोइया हैं, दे आर ऑल्सो पेड थ्रू द सेम मनी, तो दिस helps getting the quality of the MDM little better, right? So these are some of these schemes for ensuring food security. Then we have another scheme which is actually meant for specific section of society, people, which is National Nutrition Mission. तो नेशनल न्यूट्रिशन मिशन जो है वो बेसिकली इट वाज लॉन्च इन 2018, 2018 में लॉन्च किया था इसको। व्हाट डज इट टॉक अबाउट? इट टॉक्स अबाउट अ मल्टी डायमेंशनल अप्रोच, अ कन्वर्जेंस अप्रोच टू न्यूट्रिशन। वो क्या कहता है बेसिकली, दिस इज मेंट फॉर द चिल्ड्रन, it caters specifically to children's nutritional needs, children below the age of 6 years, okay? तो चिल्ड्रन में न्यूट्रिशन का बहुत बड़ा फर्क पड़ता है, उनके ग्रोथ पर, उनकी हेल्थ पर, उनकी आगे चल के उनकी जो मेंटल एबिलिटीज हैं, या फिर जो उनकी ओवरऑल प्रोडक्टिविटी आगे होगी उस पर. And we've already discussed that almost half of our population, our children, are malnourished. Malnourishment in Indian context actually means undernourishment. तो उनको पर्याप्त खाना, which means that they are not getting enough nutrition from what they eat at their homes, which means that there has to be supplementary food, right? Supplementary food. So this is basically a mission to provide supplementary food to children. What is supplementary food? Supplementary food means whatever they eat at home, you have to supplement that to ensure that they get enough nutrition. तो घर में तो वो खाना खा रहे हैं, ऐसा तो है नहीं घर में खाना नहीं खा रहे हैं. तो घर में जो खाना वो खाते हैं, जितनी क्वांटिटी में खाते हैं, जिस तरह का खाना खाते हैं, उसमें जो न्यूट्रिशन डेफिशिएंसी रहती है, दैट यू हैव टू सप्लीमेंट बाय प्रोवाइडिंग देम फूड. एंड दीज चिल्ड्रन आर बेसिकली इन वेयर, what is the place where they are the आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर्स. तो आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर्स में ये बच्चे एनरोल्ड हैं और आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर्स में ये न्यूट्रिशन दिया जाना है. सो व्हाट डज दिस प्रोग्राम डू? नेशनल न्यूट्रिशन मिशन. अब उसका एम क्या था? उसका एम था टू attain a malnutrition free status by 2022. That was the objective. Attain malnutrition free status by 2022. अब 2022 तो चला गया, but malnutrition free status मिला नहीं. And that is the sad story of almost all the missions that we have seen. I haven't come across a single mission which achieved its stated objective or target within the timeline. I've never seen that. Almost all of them have failed to achieve the targets within the timelines. But that failure is not really that bad if it is able to, do some major recovery in that sense. So we will see to what extent it has been done. So यदि आप इसी प्रोग्राम के अंदर आता है, we'll come to that. So what is the objective? You just write down the objectives of this. It's the objective, stated objective क्या है? Reduce stunting. Stunting, you know what is it? Stunting is basically relates to height with respect to the age. So at certain age, the normal development of a child, when the child should attain certain age, if that child doesn't attain that particular height, then it's called stunting. So to reduce stunting, then to reduce undernutrition, and to reduce anemia. एनीमिया को रिड्यूस. ये 3 स्पेसिफिक लक्ष्य है इसके. among whom? Among, again, there are 3 categories of people: women, adolescent girls, and children. Here when I say children, it is, this caters to 0 to 6. Okay. So the idea was to reduce stunting. From stunting currently was at 38%. The idea was to reduce it to 25%. मतलब 38% बच्चे इंडिया में जो है वो स्टंटेड है, मतलब वो अपनी नॉर्मल ग्रोथ नहीं अचीव कर पाते. 38, विच इज मैसिव. The target was to reduce it to 25%. But we do not have a current measure of stunting, right? लेटेस्ट वाला नहीं है. इसके बाद 18 में हुआ था, उसके बाद का NFHS का है. But that NFHS survey was again carried out in 19 to 21, which means कि लगभग within a year ही survey हुआ था, तो that would not give us any picture. My estimate is that it would be somewhere around 35 or something. There's no major change in that. Okay. Now, what are and the other was to reduce low birth weight. इसको लिख लीजिए, reduce low birth weight by 2% annually. मतलब वो 5 साल के 18 से 22 के बीच में 4 सालों के दौरान लो बर्थ वेट रिड्यूस करना था. व्हाट इज लो बर्थ वेट?
I mean, newborn child.
By 2% every year, huh?
Newborn child should have appropriate weight.
Yes. So low birth weight means at the time of birth, what is the weight of the infant, or right? Because it's an infant. Before the baby is in the womb, it is a fetus. The moment it's born, it becomes an infant till the year of 1. So इनका लक्ष्य क्या था कि ये 4 सालों में 18 से लेके 22 तक every year they will reduce the low birth weight by 2%. No, we do not have measure of this also. Most of the children are born low weight. Low weight basically means the ideal weight of a child, after full term pregnancy of 9 months. And if the child is below that, then it's low birth weight. Our low birth weight plays a very significant role in the growth, mental and physical growth of the child. बहुत फर्क पड़ता है. The children with low birth weight suffer, and they're generally, generally behind physical and mental growth compared to other normal weight children. And this happens particularly in the initial period of their life. Childhood में most of them are able to recover at a later stage, but some of them suffer for the life. तो कुछ लोगों के साथ ये जो यहाँ जो लो बर्थ वेट के कारण प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं वो लाइफ लॉन्ग हो जाती हैं, बट ज्यादातर बच्चे रिकवर करते हैं एक सर्टेन एज के बाद, बट इनिशियल पीरियड में काफी सफर करते हैं. सो that is another important area. Why is this happening? Low birth weight. What would be the reason of low birth weight of a child? Mother is undernourished. When she is pregnant, when she is carrying that child, she doesn't get enough food, enough nutrition to first take care of her own nutritional requirement and then additionally of the child that she is carrying. और इसलिए उसका वेट यदि वो ठीक से खाना नहीं खा पा रही है तो बच्चे का वेट नहीं बढ़ेगा, कम होगा, राइट. सो इस पर फोकस है, अंडर नरिशमेंट ऑफ ऑल, अंडर नरिशमेंट ऑफ वीमेन, एडोलेसेंट गर्ल्स, चिल्ड्रन, ऑल, राइट. एनीमिया particularly among women, right? Stunting among children. So this was the objective. So what did they do in this program? They did a few things. They mapped the district. इंडिया में जितने भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं उनकी मैपिंग करके ऐसे डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स उन्होंने आइडेंटिफाई किए जो सबसे उनका परफॉर्मेंस सबसे ज्यादा खराब था on these parameters, and they identified 118 such districts, and in these 118 districts with lowest nutrition indicators, they gave extra input, right? That extra input was basically given in the form of fortified food grains through PDS. Fortified food grains to fortification of food. You know what it is? Okay. So fortification means आप जब चावल दे रहे हैं या फिर गेहूं दे रहे हैं PDS में, या नमक दे रहे हैं, तो उसमें साथ ही में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूट्रिएंट्स है, माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स, दे आर कॉल्ड माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स. So those micronutrients which generally found missing in the food that the children are eating in their homes, those micronutrients are added to the food grains which are given in the PDS system. तो यदि चावल दे रहे हैं तो चावल को प्रोसेस करके उसमें माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स मिला देंगे, राइट? या फिर नमक दे रहे हैं तो नमक में माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स मिलाएं. So the addition of micronutrients by processing the food grains is called fortification, and such grains are called fortified grains. So PDS is basically now supplying them fortified food grains, right, through PDS. So अभी राइस भी पहले नमक को फोर्टिफाई किया गया, अभी नमक लगभग हर जगह पे फोर्टिफाइड है, right? Some micronutrients are added to the salt and some to rice also, and now they are almost, now this has almost become universal, and we are giving some of the food grains as fortified, particularly in these 118 districts, particularly to certain pockets, this fortified food grains are provided, right? Now this also involves incentive for the Anganwadi workers, right? तो आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर्स के लिए इंसेंटिव भी इसमें है. इफ they ensure that every child below the age of 6 is registered, is tracked, right? He or she is provided nutrition. तो आंगनवाड़ी में there are two, because it caters to 0 to 6. Now there are two types of children, 0 to 3. So the children 0 to 3 age do not come to Anganwadi centers. So for them, you have to provide food at the house, and this is called ready to eat food. This is also fortified. So ready to eat food आपको देना होता है. यदि बच्चा है तो आपको हर महीने वो ready to eat food वहाँ घर पर पहुँचाना है, right? So they have to give it there. The children who are between this age, they come to Anganwadi centers, and there they are supposed to be given either cooked food or the same ready to eat food, but to be given at the center, right?
So what is ready to eat food, like as in packet?
Yeah, so ready to eat food doesn't require much of cooking, right? It's in the form of powder, or it's a semi cooked food which is packaged, and you can simply boil it in water for some time and it's ready to eat. Okay, so that the families don't have to know the process of cooking it properly, or that process. You got it, Sakshi?
Yes, so like what do they give? I'm not able to understand. Anyways,
they give different things in different places. There's no uniformity. Generally the state governments decide the menu. In fact, in some places the menu is being decided district wise also, depending on the food choices and food habits of the people. So there can be no universalization of